because we want Bolivians to be able to not only be employed by all of those sectors, but to be able to profit off of the entire chain of what our raw material can produce.
Talk about President Morales and his environmental policy. We've been getting emails here that says, for example, Workshop 18 will be protesting outside this conference. They don't agree with the environmental policies of President Morales and that they have been banned from the conference. Who are they?
Well, it's complicated. So on the one hand, the Bolivian government has taken the lead in this global movement to reduce climate change, to really be a leader in calling for the protection of the environment, the protection of Mother Earth. However, here in Bolivia, extractive resources, gas production alone, natural gas production accounts for about 20% of this country's income. You add on to that other minerals, it probably comes to about 30% of this country's economy is based on extractive resources. And so when you get those emails about Working Group 18, those are Bolivians here who are saying, wait a minute, there's a contradiction. On the one hand, we're trying to show the world and lead the world a new way to saving Mother Earth and protecting her rights. Yet here in our own country, we're not doing enough to stop. In fact, the Evo government wants to continue the process of oil extraction and gas and increase it, not just continue it, but really expand. So it's people who are from affected communities where there's going to be new oil drilling that Evo has already, that President Morales has already promised, and from people who are being affected already. So there's this real struggle, I think, because, you know, on the one hand, it's not feasible for President Morales to just say, we're going to stop all extractive industry, the economy of the country would crash. Yet it's clear that he does want to have a new future. It's just figuring out that road is hard.
When we flew into Bolivia, we flew into El Alta, which is right next to La Paz. You were recently there at a campaign rally for President Morales, and the speech he gave, talk about it.
Yes, I was at the campaign closure rally. There was recently municipal and regional elections here in Bolivia. And I went to the closing rally, and President Morales gave the speech. Towards the front end of the speech, he gave a big plug for Cochabamba, talked about protecting the rights of Mother Earth, talked about this global movement that Bolivia is really leading, both sort of on a people's level and also in sites like Copenhagen, and talked about his vision of the future. Towards the end of the speech, basically to close out the speech, he said, and don't worry, the oil rigs are going to be here tomorrow. There's a large section of oil that's found in the northern part of the state of La Paz, which is where the city of El Alto is in, and it's going to bring, again, you know, development, jobs, and money to this state. And so he was speaking to his constituents and saying, I am still committed to developing our own resources, doing it in a way that the Bolivians ourselves can profit from it, but it's still that pushing extractive industry. And so right there, within that same speech, within 45 minutes, you have the contradiction that this country is really struggling with.
So what do you think now will happen with going back to the mine, to the silver mine? This major protest is taking place. Would you say it's an embarrassment to President Morales, who will be addressing thousands of people here? Was it timed for that? And how is he going to resolve this? Has he been meeting with the silver miners?
I think it is an embarrassment. I don't know. There's sort of a debate here about whether it was really timed for right now. Either it was a great coincidence for the protesters, or it was purposely timed to happen during this summit. As far as I know, there have not been direct negotiations that have started between the protesters and the government. The protesters are saying that they want the government to come out there. They want a delegation to be sent out there, and that's when they'll come and sit down at the table. The government has been clear, at least up until this point, they're not going to use repressive force. As I said, we're in our 9th day, and it's now, you know, it's starting to become major news all over the world, because Sumitomo, which I believe is one of the biggest trading companies in Japan, is losing a lot of money. They export 48 1,000 tons of minerals from that mine every day. And for 9 days, it hasn't been able to get out. So the government, I think, is going to have to, at some point, do something to figure out resolving this issue. The other touchy situation is that Sumitomo is one of the companies that has shown the most interest in extracting lithium, in being one of the partners of the Bolivian government in this lithium process. So I think the relationship between Sumitomo and the government is something that they need to handle with a lot of care.
Well, Jean Friedman-Radofsky, I want to thank you very much for being with us. Jean Friedman-Radofsky is a freelance reporter who has been covering the salt mines and political issues in Bolivia for years now. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. When we come back, a brief conversation with Cory Kilcher, the Hollywood actress who is here concerned about